Back again with another show. If you're on YouTube and you can see me waving in my car window, you know that I am not a I. Let's lock this car door. I want to welcome everyone to Speaking Smashinese. And at least in my opinion, from what I can find, the world's first podcast that is recorded in the streets in real time while walking, especially for the purpose of fitness. And just so you know, Smashinese is a term I created in college that simply means the language of lovemaking or making out or intimacy. So, just to remind you, you are not having audio issues. I am recording this podcast as you and I and people all over the world are walking or exercising. I guess you can consider me your free walking coach, walking buddy, all right, who loves to talk about relationships. Please consider walking with me while listening, because the fitness aspect of this podcast just might be the most important part. From here on out, I will refer to you guys, to my supporters, as heart walkers. And I call members of this community heart walkers because if you're here, you're not just listening to me. You're walking with me. You're someone who replays conversations in your head, but now you're learning how to understand those conversations. You want deeper connection in your intimate relationships, and not just surface level validation, right? In my opinion, you are mature and willing to confront your own habits and not just point fingers at others. Today, we will be discussing what to do and not to do before you break up. Okay. When you have made the decision to end a relationship, how should we start this? It is one of those moments in life where that one decision can echo for years. And before you end things, you probably ask yourself, should I stay or should I go? But the answer, as we all know, is never as simple as that. Especially if you don't also ask yourself, am I trying to leave or am I trying to escape how I feel right now? And if you're watching me on or listening on YouTube, you'll see that today I'm at a school track. So since I don't have hills, I'm sorry, since I don't have hills, I am trying to walk at a faster pace. If you're in a situation, wherever you are in the world, where you can, on this particular podcast, unless you do it on other ones, pick your pace up. You can already see I'm making pronunciation errors, but let's get that fitness part. I'll be a little bit more out of breath, but this is an important part of it. But like I was saying, a lot of us ask ourselves, should I stay or should I go? And I was saying that the answer is never as simple as that, especially if you don't also ask yourself, am I trying to leave or am I trying to escape how I feel right now? Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, the result is the same, coach. But that's not the important part, okay? Because this is where that decisions echoing for years thing comes from, okay? Your reason, your ultimate reason is going to make a difference. And no matter what you decide to do, every decision has a loss. Now, that might sound confusing, so let's start with the truth that, frankly, most people just don't want to hear. There is no perfect decision in relationships. Please get that out of your head. If you leave your relationship, you lose what was good, because few relationships are all bad, right? Okay? Have you ever been in a relationship that was all bad? I'm just saying, I have not. If you leave your relationship, you lose potential. Now, you might say, well, I don't care about that. Okay? But you lose potential. If you leave your relationship, you lose familiarity, right? But if you stay in your relationship, you lose the possibility of something different. Now, that's obvious, right? Because you're going to a different person, a different situation. What else? You lose clarity about what if. I had to add the sound effect, guys. And look, you risk staying too long, which is possible if you are in the wrong situation in the first freaking place. So you see how I was saying every decision has a loss? Every choice you make carries grief. And by grief, I don't mean you made the wrong decision. Okay? And those of you that are already part of the community, you know that I like to define things to help make things clear to people, especially with new terms and stuff like that. For this podcast episode, for this show that you're listening to right now, let's define grief as the emotional cost of letting go of a possibility. That's our grief, okay? So that we can all be on the same page. And I admit, ladies and gentlemen, breaking up can be hard as crap. But if you choose not to break up and stay, you must ask yourself, am I staying because I'm afraid of losing the person I'm with? Or am I afraid of losing what I hoped this relationship could be? So are you afraid of losing them? Or are you afraid of losing what you wanted, the situation, the life, the type of love and closeness that you wanted in anyone? And this is the person that you got into a relationship, so obviously you fell for them and you thought all of this beauty was going to be with them. And a lot of people regret breakups. So let's just keep it real. Okay? One person wanted a child, the other didn't. So you move on. You get your child with someone else, and it's the worst decision you ever made because everything else is wrong. It does happen, okay? A lot of people end up regretting breaking up with the people that they broke up with. That happens a lot. And most regret, it doesn't come from losing the person, or should I say, losing their partner. The regret typically comes from lack of closure. Okay? And you'll see where I'm going with this. But we need to go back to that habit of defining things, I think. Even though I know we've all heard that term. All right? Closure. Closure is understanding why something ended and accepting it. And that last part is what you typically don't hear. Okay? Yes, we all know closure is understanding why. But have we accepted it? Do we accept it? Without closure, your brain replays moments from the past, replays moments from your relationship. Your brain rewrites history. It's confused. And it definitely romanticizes the past. And then what happens? You don't move forward, you circle back, right? The next time you are considering... Good morning. Please tell me you guys have leashes.
We do, but you're in there and we're out
Okay, thank you. Sorry guys, these people with their vicious dogs that are not on a leash, or at least he appeared vicious. Put a leash on your dog, guys. Geesh, we're on the school grounds. Sorry about that. Okay, your brain romanticizes the past. That's where I believe we were. And then what happens? You don't move forward, right? You end up going backwards. Or I might have said you end up circling back before the dog started barking at me. The next time you are considering breaking up with someone, I want you to ask yourself, if I left today, would I truly understand why my relationship ended? And look, all of you are grown, so you ultimately do what you want to do. It doesn't affect me either way. But I'm just letting you know that leaving too soon, meaning leaving without closure, can be dangerous. Let's dig deeper into that statement right there. This walking fast is getting to me, especially while talking and recording. I hope the audio is okay, guys. If you're on YouTube, let me know in the comments. I'm not going to change and go back to a studio, okay? This is the platform I'm building. I apologize, but I hope the audio is okay. Some people leave relationships during conflict or in the midst of having a crazy argument. Some people leave because they are just frustrated with the whole situation. A lot of people leave relationships during emotional spikes, right? A lot of relationships have the emotional roller coasters, the emotional, ups and downs. But here's the problem. When you leave for those reasons, you do leave the situation, but guess what? You do not necessarily leave the pattern. So what happens next? You hit the streets, or your friends start pushing you to date again, and you meet someone new. OMG. Here we go. Your fast behind, your fast butt, your impatient tail runs into, you ready? The same behaviors, the same triggers, and the same frustrations that drove you crazy or led to the end, the demise of your last relationship. This, Heart Walkers, is called pattern repetition. And pattern repetition is just unresolved issues showing up in new people. That's all it is. That is all it is. Okay? Y'all know what I'm talking about. You leave someone who doesn't communicate well, but you never learned how you communicate under stress. Now, you're diving in the deep waters with your next partner, and you think you really have moved on. Really? Okay. But guess what? You are dealing with the same issues from a different, beautiful face. I want you to think about that. Why are you really breaking up with the first person in the first place? Are you leaving a person or avoiding a pattern that you don't fully understand yet? Listen to me now. This distinction is so important. Okay, coach. So how do I know I'm ready to leave then? You are ready to leave when you've clearly expressed your needs. When you've clearly expressed your needs. When you've observed consistent behavior. Meaning, this person isn't changing. This person doesn't want to change. This person isn't going to change. That's consistent negative behavior. You're ready to leave when you've tried to understand and be understood. And you're not reacting to something you don't like in the relationship. You are clear-headed and you are really deciding, hey, me, it's time to go. You are not ready to leave when you're emotional or you're frustrated or you just want relief or a break from your partner. No, you're not ready. Clarity should lead your exit, not emotion. Attribute that quote to me, to Coach Sumo on the Speaking Smashinese podcast on all platforms and YouTube. Thank you. Clarity should lead your exit, not emotion. What was that? What'd you say? I'm a little bit out of breath walking fast. It's windy out here. All the time, coach? Yes, all the time. All the time. Whoever asked that question clarity should lead your exit. Never lead with emotion. And on top of all of this, before you leave any relationship, you need to take something else with you. And that's called awareness. Ask yourself, what did I ignore? What did I tolerate for too long? And how much of what was wrong in the relationship was my fault? Yes. Oh, so sorry. So sorry. But you even need to know what negative patterns you contributed to, because rarely is there just one problem person in a relationship. Yes, typically one is doing a whole lot more ugly than the other one. But look within. Figure out and take accountability for what you may have been doing that led to the end as well. Because if you don't answer those questions, guess what? Life will answer them for you. And you don't want that. You do not want that. But sometimes the best thing is to end a relationship. So how do we avoid repeating the same relationship over again? This is what most psychologists miss, right? Most marriage counselors and relationship therapists, this is what most of them miss when they're doing these social media interviews or they're writing in these blogs, which leads to, this is also where most people in relationships fail. And it's simple. When you feel like you're just repeating your last relationship over again, it's because, yes, you change partners, but you do not change yourself. Okay? And it's that little phrase right there that I see so many educated, licensed psychologists and therapists and counselors, they miss that. It's almost like they take your side in their response to you. And I'm not going to do that. Okay? In my own relationships, I take ownership and accountability for what I do. All right? Yes, you can listen to all the experts in the world. But if they don't mention that you need to also look at yourself, you might need to question the message that they're giving you. Okay? We don't want to do this. We do not want to go about all of this and not change ourselves. Okay? So before you end everything and leave your relationship, make sure that you identify your triggers. Make sure you listen to the rest of the Speaking Smashinese episodes, okay? So that you can finally understand your attachment style. A lot of the things that I end up defining in my shows, guys, they either have been, I'm only 3 weeks in, okay, or will be discussed in the future as a topic for an entire episode, so we can do a deep dive, okay? I need you to recognize your own patterns. You know, and only you know, what patterns kept you unhappy, right, with your soon-to-be ex. But you also need to recognize the role you played in that. So they were doing something, but what were you doing while they were doing what they were doing? You have to understand that part. And it can sound a little confusing, but this is why you do not rush and lead with emotion. What do we lead with? We lead with clarity. And I might have missed defining something that I want to make sure all of you add to your, what do we call it? Relationship knowledge base. Your relationship vocabulary. And that is attachment style, which is how you respond to closeness and conflict. Ask yourself, look in the freaking mirror if you have to, but literally ask yourself, would the next version of me choose the same type of boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife again? Would you choose the same type of person again? Okay? With the next version of you, right? This is how you get to evaluate and assess if you've dealt with your own inner demons. Because if you have, you likely, or you should not, even be attracted to the same type of person that you just left or that you're leaving. They should make you sick to your stomach, okay? And did you notice? Did you notice I said the next version of yourself? Did you notice that? Did you notice that? Did you notice I said the next version of me? Would the next version of me choose the same type of person again in the future? Okay? Which I'm saying the next version of yourself. Here I am. I'm going to repeat myself. Because you cannot expect a better relationship the next time if you don't acknowledge how you contributed to the failure of the previous relationship. True, your partner might have been more at fault. We discussed that. Blah, blah, blah. But you absolutely did some things as well. I'm sorry. Fix your face. I'm not going to change what I said. And now, let me put my excuse me, guys, fitness coach hat back on real quick. And I'll say it like this. Breaking up without learning is like leaving the gym every time the workout gets hard. So as soon as it starts to benefit you, you're out. Okay? Because progress comes after pain. If it's easy, it likely isn't worth crap. If you do this in the gym, if you leave when the workout gets hard, you don't get stronger. You don't do better or magically become happier just because you moved on to a new person. You didn't fix anything. All you're doing is starting over. And if you're getting your ex back anyway, right? It sounds crazy to say it like that, but this is exactly what's happening. Maybe, just maybe, you should have just stayed where you were, where things were at least familiar, because this new person might have some they might have some serious skeletons in their closet, and they might just chop you up. IJS. I'm just saying. Okay? I'm just saying. You don't know who they are. At least you know who your ex was. Heart walkers, you are supporting this podcast, so I'm assuming you are really cut different. And I'm not saying that out of my arrogance for my platform. What I'm doing right now is borderline psycho. Anyone who commits to pursuing a better version of their physical self while educating themselves at the same time is a special kind of person. And that's what I mean by psycho. This podcast would be a whole lot easier sitting in a comfortable, warm, or air-conditioned, temperature-controlled, audio-controlled studio. And you don't have to be out here walking with me while listening. All right? You are the type of person that I believe would make a great partner for someone. Because it takes a special type of person to say, let me download this podcast, let me subscribe to this channel, and if this fool walks every day, I'm going to match what he does. And we all have room for self-improvement. And even if I'm in a perfect relationship and I don't need anything that Coach Sumo says, maybe I can just understand other people better. Or maybe I can help a friend or a coworker. But doing that while committing to walk, you are a special type of person. And I'm not just saying that. When I say I appreciate you, I'm not only saying it for myself. Okay? You're not paying me a dime. I'm thanking you for being the type of person that I believe I would like to meet and befriend in real life. Because I know that this is different. Okay? But for that to remain an accurate statement, at the end of the day, you must remember the things that we're talking about. And today, I need you to remember that breaking up is not just about leaving someone. It's about understanding why you were there in the first place and what changed your mind about remaining in that relationship. Listen to me now and make sure you do not become a character in the same story or the same movie again. Okay? We're going to do a short one today. I think we're about 40 minutes or so that every single episode won't be impossible to complete. All right? As I improve my own conditioning, I find myself walking more. I think yesterday was 88 minutes, which is just insane because my first episode was 28 minutes. And those hills and that weight vest were killing me. Anyway, I appreciate everyone listening. Please spread the word about speaking Smashinese. Okay? Please do that. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, please do so. If for nothing else, you can comment there and we can start some additional helpful dialogue. You've been listening to Speaking Smashinese. I'm your host, Coach Sumo, and I will walk with you in the next episode. Ciao.